What is happening? Excited to hop on here. This is one of those just trainings I've been going back and forth on, like where do you begin, because there's just so much to cover. So if you are watching this, depends on where you're watching this, you could be watching this, the recorded version, who knows, days, months, years later. Maybe you invested and purchased this. Maybe you're watching the live version, right? If it's the replay version, probably can't see the comments because it's only available to those that get the VIP access for long term, and then we take it away. But really excited. There's so much to cover. And for me, it was racking my brain where I threw everything out, put it up all on a whiteboard, a piece of paper of everything you need to do. And then I go back and try to systematize it and do this one, day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5, and why it works and why it's so important. So it's so fun to see so many friends already on here on this live. If you are just tuning in, especially if you're watching live, just put live in the comments below. That's like the energy, right? Because it's not like I'm on stage where I'm looking around and I can see people, if they're alert, if they're live, if they're not asleep, if they're smiling, they're paying attention. So lots of stuff to cover here. I mean, I've got pages and pages of notes. Went through it all over and over and over again. So first things first, let's talk about why this is so important. This is important for you to understand, and it's important for your teams to understand, because if you aren't bought into it, it won't really matter how great we structure this. So the first thing I want you to understand is the why. So the example and analogy I like to give is this. Yes, it's going to take both a balance of consistency and blitzes to have success. One without the other. I don't know anyone that's ever had a ton of success that hasn't had both consistency and blitzes. But a lot of times we talk about the consistency and the DMOs and the weekly method of operation, your monthly method of operation. That's great. That's important. You need to have that for the continuation. But as far as a blitz goes, let me give the example. Let's say that on average, you're contacting one person a day. So, and that's a lot, right? Even though some of you are like, well, no, it's not. For most people in network marketing, that's a lot. They're not contacting 30 people a month, brand new, they've never spoken to. I mean, some of you I know are superstars and rock stars, but the vast, I would even venture to say 95+% aren't doing that. So what I want you to do is I want you to think about this. Let's say that your typical over 5 days, you're doing every other day, or let's say you end up only reaching out to 2 over the course of 5 days, and over the course of a month you reach out to 12, right? Let's lower that average down now. Well, what I would rather have you do, rather than reach out to 12 the entire month, I would rather have you compress time and reach out to those 12 in 5 days and not reach out to anybody the rest of the month. Now, don't get me wrong. Please don't misinterpret what I'm saying. I'm not saying I wouldn't rather have you do both. Of course I would. But there's a science and there's a reason why it's so important to have these blitzes. And if you have to choose either or as far as reaching out to new people, this isn't the same with everything. It's not the same with personal development. So don't associate blitzes and consistency the same in all aspects. You can't go do personal development and you don't do it for the whole month and all of a sudden you do 10 hours in one day and you're like, I'm good. No. So here's the science, here's the psychology, here's the understanding behind this. When you reach out to 12 people in 5 days rather than an entire month, the reason why you have more success is because all of a sudden you're going to have a couple people that are interested. And statistically speaking, you're going to have a couple people that join your business. And what is that going to do to your belief? What's that going to do to your energy levels? All of a sudden your belief and your energy levels go through the roof. Now what's that going to do when you reach out to the rest of those people? So let's say you reach out to 5 and you got 3 that are interested and 1 that joins. Your confidence soars. Your energy soars. And as your confidence and your energy soar, now all of a sudden the other 7 people, because you've reached out to 5 of the 12, your success ratio goes way up. Is this making sense to you? So if I'm going to decide, and I say I'm only going to reach out to 12 people the whole month, and is it going to be, every day, every other day, or every 3 days, right? Every 2 to 3 days, I'm going to decide that I'm going to do it in the case of 5 days because I'm going to have a ton more success, right? And all of a sudden, let's say you reach out to, those 7, but you only get to 2, and one of those 2 is interested. Now your energy just went up again. So now you got 5 more because you're at 7. You reached out to 2 more and you got another one interested. So the odds of all those people being interested, the future people and the people that are saying yes go up. And then what happens is now all of a sudden as your belief goes up, now you can raise those numbers from 12 to 15 to even 20 over the course of 5 days. Because how much easier is it to reach out to people when you got, 2 people that just said yes, you got 4 that are interested. All of a sudden you're just like, I'm in momentum, right? It's psychological. A lot of our momentum in what we think. We're drama kings and queens. When things go well, we think they're better than they really are. When things go poorly, we think they're worse than they really are. Think about that. When things go well, we think they're better than they really are. When things go poorly, we think they're worse than they really are. We are on an emotional roller coaster, especially in network marketing. And so that's why I think it's so key and critical that you first understand this aspect of it, of understand the why, so that you go set yourself up to do it. Because think you muster all this courage and you're like, I'm going to go out, I'm going to do this, I'm going to make this happen, I'm so excited. And then what happens? You go reach out to one person, you don't reach out to someone else for 2 or 3 days. You got to rebuild all that back up and try to convince yourself and create this energy, and maybe go do your personal development and watch this training. You're like, okay, I'm ready. And you reach out to the one person and say they ghost you. And you wait 2 or 3 more days and you do it again. So this is one of the most important aspects of the training is those first couple of minutes. Why? Because now this gives you the value, the importance, the understanding, so that you say, you know what, I'm bought in. And it also, as I always say, good leaders have vision, great leaders give vision. I'm giving you the vision so not only you catch the vision, that you can give the vision to your team members. Some of you are like, but I only have 2 or 3 team members. Great, give it to those 2 or 3 team members. Some of you are like, you know what, but I've got, only 10 team members. Great, give it to them. Or I don't have any team members. If you don't have any team members, so be it. So what? This is going to help you so that when you find those future team members, you can cast this, but also it's going to give you that vision. So real quick, and then we're just getting started here. Before we go into this, some of you guys have asked, so the replay is only available for 48 hours. So if you're watching this live, it's only available for 48 hours. It's kind of, what we decided to do this time. It's people that pay attention. So it's one of my fears, right, of doing it free, because then people are just like, yeah, right. Whereas if someone pays like 10 grand, it's like, I'm taking notes, right? I'm executing. I got to make this thing worth it. And so we did make it free. So hopefully you find huge value. We're just getting started here. We're not even close to done for day 1, let alone day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5. The other thing I will say is anyone that does, and I've got it up here, that ends up upgrading, if you guys did upgrade, then not only will you have lifetime access to this, I have a group coaching where for an entire week, anyone that wants to, I'll give you guys specific insights, and I'm going to do a lot of Q&A throughout the week, so I'll hop on after this. You also are going to get how to recruit your dream team with John Melton, how to get people off the fence without being pushy with Brian Fryer, opportunity posts that convert to conversions with Morgan Zambrano. So pretty cool. I'll put that here for anyone who didn't. Those of you that did upgrade, we have a couple that didn't join the Voxer group chat that we're in. Hey, Morgan, what's up? And so for those of you that didn't upgrade, or you didn't find that, go check your email because it's in there. We resent it. So that it sells you on the why it's so important. So hopefully you're all sold on the why as far as the setup goes. The second part to it is again, successful people just do the basics better. I got a whole training I've never done before on this that I'm going to do on debacles that have happened. Like we're talking massive debacles that have happened, $400 million mistakes just because someone didn't do the basics better, right? We just had someone yesterday in golf in the finals, and they're a couple feet away, and all they need to do is 3-putt to win, and someone is out chipping, right? Meaning they're pretty far away. They chip in, and the other person ends up 3-putting because they didn't do the basics better. So you got to always go back. Successful people just do the basics better. And as we say that, some of the basics I wrote down is you've got to make time. You've got to clear your schedule. So you can take this right now, this Recruit 5 in 5 days, and understand this is going to give you the formula, the system, the science. There are no guarantees, just so you know. You know I'm not the hype person. Everyone's going to recruit 5. No. Sometimes you're going to go do this and you're going to be like, oh my goodness, I bombed. I'm going to tell you about that in a second. Other times you're going to do this and you're going to be like, I didn't recruit 5, I recruited 10. I recruited 12. I recruited 17, right? That was my best day ever. I sponsored 17 people on one day. This is old school back in the day when people are paying like huge $1,700 packages. And this is what I did. All of these things I'm about to teach you. Was that normal? No. It was a good one. Were there other times where I felt like I put the same effort and energy and didn't sign anybody up? Yes. I still remember my very second December. I refused to have a bad December because I did the year before. I went and worked my butt off. I actually started in November working my butt off. I worked. Guess what? Got my butt completely kicked. Yes, as far as sharing it out, you can invite people to the link that you guys joined it. They can join this group for free. I know that question was asked, but I got my butt kicked. And guess what? I was a little discouraged. I was a little distraught because I knew I did exactly what I needed to do. But my January, my February, my March were my best January, February, and March ever. Compensation always catches up to skill set and effort, but it's almost always massively delayed. The test before the testimony, right? The struggle before the story, the mess before the message. I'll say this again. Compensation always, yes, always, catches up to skill set and effort, but it's almost always massively delayed. Did you hear that word? Massively delayed. Almost always. So this setup right now is to help give you a target, to give you a focus, to give you goals. And for you, you've got to make sure you make time, you clear the schedule, whatever that amount of time is. If you're someone that typically, right, you got carpool, well, you move carpool and you say, I'm not going to do carpool during these 5 days and I'm going to do extra carpool next week because I'm all out laser blitz. It's the same thing end of the month. End of the month, you know, urgency synonymous with wealth, and this is when most people get a ton done is the very end of the month. So the very end of the month, what I highly suggest is you do a variation of this. Maybe it's 3 days, maybe it is 5 days, maybe it's 4 days, right? Don't get too confused with the amount of days you decide. I like 5 days because I think it's long enough you can get a ton done, but it's also short enough that keeps you focused. So you have to decide that. And some of you are going to do these every single month. And you're going to do it, okay, at this specific time of the month. Some of you are going to do it at the end of the month for a couple days. Some of you are going to be like, you know what? I find what happens at the very end of the month. You guys are going to know what I'm talking about. Everyone wakes up. And you have the vast 80+% of new enrollments, I believe, from what I've seen from all stats of different companies that I've consulted for, right, worked with, new enrollments happen at the very end of the month. And then from that momentum carries to the beginning of the next month, right? And so now they've got momentum from the last 5 days to the first 5 days. And then the rest of the month, what do? Fake work, right? Fake work for 20 days. Hey girl, did you watch the training? And they tag them, right? Did you watch this Zoom, that Zoom? And they fake work for 20 days. That's what I've seen happen. So some people love to go right around that lull during the month. Some people love to go to the very end of the month. Everybody's a little bit different as they go and they make this happen. But everybody goes through this fake work. Everybody, even the highest of the high leaders. The difference is the highest of the high leaders are more in activity mode more often than others. But they still go through a lot of fake work. Every single person does. You guys are all laughing because you know this is true. How can I teach this stuff? Because I lived it. I went through it. I did it. Even though I was the number one recruiter out of 1 million distributors, guess what? I still went through a lot of the fake work, right? And I was just out of the fake work more often than most people. So we've talked a little bit about expectations, right? And remember, I don't believe anyone's ever accomplished anything great without unrealistic expectations. Think about that. Was it realistic for Michael Jordan to say, I want to be the best basketball player of all time? Was it realistic for, for the human race to say we want to go to the moon once upon a time? No. Like, think of all the greatest accomplishments. They weren't realistic. Was it realistic for, Amazon, right? Jeff Bezos to say, now he's the second richest or third richest man in the world, to say, I'm going to be, the richest, or I'm going to have one of the biggest or largest companies, right? No. But at some point he saw that vision. He saw it here first. But I also believe that most of disappointment comes from, or 90% of disappointment comes from unrealistic expectations. So a lot of us are like, what do I do? I got these big dreams, but I have these unrealistic expectations. What do I do? I think you look at both sides of the coin. You look at dreaming big of what's possible. You look at what's normal. And when you shoot for the moon, as Les Brown says, and you land on the stars, you say, okay, you know what? I'm still focusing on the process. I'm still getting a little bit better and better each and every single day. And so that way, you're not getting too down on yourself. You're creating perspective. And I think it makes such a huge difference for you. It helps you out a ton as you go. Okay. So a couple other notes. The next part is recruiting mindset. You find what you're looking for. So you got to decide who you're looking to sponsor, who you're looking to recruit. If you go for this recruit 5 and 5, like number 1, are you going for business builder or are you going for customer? Which one are you going for? Business builder or customer? Are you going for warm markets or maybe cold markets? Are you going for people that you know, and I'll give you a warm market strategy, that you know pretty well, or people that maybe you know of each other from social media, but you don't really know each other. You've never met each other in person. The next thing you could decide is maybe you're going for a specific audience. Maybe you found that, you know, people with influence or impact are good communicators, like real estate agents and teachers, right? And pastors are very successful. So maybe you're going to create a combo of those three, or maybe it's greater than that, or maybe you narrow it down to one, but you get what you're looking for. And so you got to, and maybe you mix it up. Maybe this version, right, you're going to do your recruit 5 and 5, and it's this specific theme, and then the next time you mix it up and it's a completely different theme as you go. But you need to be very specific. And I will tell you this. This is for those that are watching this right now live. So if you're watching this training and finding value years later, that's okay. It's still important to understand this. Right now, we are in a recession, and it's just begun, in my opinion. I lived through the recession in 2008, and I was in network marketing in 2008. I will tell you, you have people that have never or were never ever interested in network marketing because things were too good. Things were too good with their jobs. Things were too good with their investments. It doesn't take money to make money. It takes creativity to make money. And I will tell you that you have people that are going to be more creative looking for what you have. I mean, think about it. We did this at my events. You guys should come. April 21st to 23rd, Salt Lake City. We get 3 awesome days of covering content, right? It's a lot of you come to masterminds. This is like, you know, this is more of a generic event. Anybody can come. Absolutely incredible. April 21st to the 23rd. And I'll tell you, at these specific events, you know, we'll cover a lot of this content. But as we talk about, it doesn't take money to make money, right? It takes creativity to make money. You will have people that have never looked before. You're going to have people that had high-level jobs. And when we were at the last generic event I did, I said, everybody, I want you to list out what would your perfect dream business or job look like. And everyone starts listing out. They're like time freedom, financial freedom, no boss or an easygoing boss, flexibility, same thing, right? Just saying it in a different way. Unlimited income potential, being able to, you know, travel. All the things they listed, guess what? They listed network marketing done right. Network marketing done right is your dream business. Done right, it's your greatest nightmare, right? But we're going to teach people how to have this creativity and make this happen, and that's through network marketing. And so you have to know what you have as you go. You have to know exactly who you're looking for as you make this happen. The next thing, I know this sounds really, really simple. Again, successful people just do the basics, is what's your story? Like if I were to reach out to you and I said, okay, what's your story? Could you give it to me? Could you give it to me in 30 seconds or in 2 minutes or 10 minutes? I mentioned all 3 of those variations in my book, The Game of Networking. Could you tell me, right? Could you tell me? So my question to you is what's your story? Every single one of you has to create a very powerful story. It could be things you've done, like, right? If I'm talking to someone that's a business builder, this took me years and years and years to feel comfortable, because I always felt like I was being like cocky. And then I heard the quote from Jim Rohn, putting yourself down isn't humble, right? And I started realizing, well, I don't think I'm a better person. I just know I've been good at this. There's other things I'm really weak at and things I'm great at. And so I'm not going to put myself down, right? And so for me, yeah, I'm a coach now, so I'm not. But if I were building, I could tell someone. I've been in the network marketing profession since 2008. I was the #1 recruiter out of 1 million distributors. I built my business in 40 countries. I know exactly what I'm doing. If you work with me, the only way you're going to fail is if you lock yourself in a closet and you don't tell anyone what you're doing. I'm not saying it's going to be easy. It's going to be hard. In some ways, it's going to be the hardest thing you've ever done. But I'm telling you, it's 100% worth taking a look at. If it makes sense to you, great. We're going to do this thing together. If it doesn't, you can point me in the right direction. Some of you are like, I can't say that because I don't have that credibility. That's okay, right? So if you can't say that, guess what you can do? You can borrow credibility from somebody else. So and again, you keep it simple. Your story is your story. Tell them what you're excited about, right? You can sell your future self. You can sell the credibility of your company or your products, right? I could have said, you know, our company is doing this. The team I'm working with, which could be your upline leaders. Don't say upline, right? They don't know upline, sideline, crossline. Don't use network marketing lingo. Just say my team and leaders that I'm working with, right? have done, fill in the blank. They and we and myself, we all know collectively what we're doing. The world loves boldness. It makes people curious. It's contagious. I promise you I wouldn't waste your time. It's worth taking a serious look. If you're interested, great. We'll do this together and I'll help you out step by step with our system. If you're not interested, that's okay. You can point me in the right direction. But like I said, it's worth taking a serious look at. And so you've got to look at, different variations depending on who you're talking to, but it's got to be, you're the preview to the movie, not the movie. And if you can't tell your story yet in 3 minutes, you have to find a way to do it. You do. There's the longer version, I get it, and then there's the shorter version. And sometimes we've got to give the highlight version, and we're not going into it. So you can time yourself as you tell it. But you got to give more of the highlight version. Think of the preview to the movie. It's not going to give you, it's a couple minutes. It's like 90 seconds most of the time. It's just snippet, 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 snippet. And it takes some time to master that. And for you, it's going to take you some time to master that as well. But a lot of times with people's attention spans, your goal is just to create interest. That's it. You're not trying to close them. You're not trying to hard pitch them. You're not trying to sell them. You're not trying to say, you know what, you got to do this right now, right this second. You're selling them on one thing, taking a look. That's it. And after they take a look, right, hopefully their interest level is improved. And you want them to take a look again until they get to the point that they're ready. And we'll talk about that as we go through these trainings and the different processes. Right now we're talking a little bit about your story, which, as you notice, my story is really an invite. Whether you're using a Zoom system, an ATM system, a recorded video system, right? You still are the messenger. Now, I personally believe audio message is more powerful. Don't get stuck on that. If you say, you know what, I can't, I have to do it this way or have to do it that way. Look, you keep it really, really simple as you go. I like to personally leverage credibility, whether it's my own credibility, company or team's credibility. I like to tell them why I'm excited, right? Really quickly. So I could leverage like, hey, my team's done this, or my leader, right, has done this. If I can't say myself, I like to tell them this is why I'm excited. And inside of telling why I'm excited, I usually share a pain point. So I'm excited because you know what? I'm sick and tired of it. The last 4 years, I've made the same amount of income. I don't have more time freedom. I'm looking ahead 10, 15 years from now. For me, my favorite mantra and quote of all time is die with memories, not with dreams. And I want to take more family vacations, guilt-free and not stressed when I go out there. And so I'm going to do whatever it takes. And it may take me a little bit longer than I expected, but I'm going to do whatever it takes and I'm going to make it happen. And I got a total team and system that has made it happen and it has had success. So I promise you I wouldn't waste your time. It's worth taking a look at. So you see how I just changed it a little bit and I shared a different variation of my story, right? But I also shared a pain point. I shared a why I'm excited and I leveraged credibility. And that's it. And then I said, take a look. So it's not going to happen overnight, but you can listen to that simple formula and you can perfect it and over and over. And don't get caught up saying I can't reach out to people until I've perfected it. I'll say this: training doesn't work trains. It's not to say that training's not important, right? But it is very important, but only if you take action. And I know I try to make it simple, Ashley, because for me, I would always overthink everything, and so and then I would get confused, and so I always just try to take everything and simplify it as much as possible. That doesn't make it easy for all of you, but it makes it easier, right? It's still going to take some time for all of you as you go and perfect and master and right, and go over and over and over again as you do it. But it's going to help you guys out. But did you see how powerful it is? I mean, I work with, even at my high-level masterminds, I have a lot of leaders, and I ask them, what's your story? And they share it with me. And it's not powerful enough. All of you have a powerful story you can share. And some of you get caught up, but I don't have credibility. That's okay. Leverage someone else's credibility, right? Leverage someone else's credibility, your team's credibility, your company's credibility. Oh, okay. I think I can. Yeah, you can do that because it's the truth. It's facts. Again, if you're not sure, they're not sure. You're trying to get someone else interested when you're not even sure yet. A lot of it is the tone. It's the passion. Now, I said I prefer audio message. That doesn't mean you can't send a written message. Okay? I prefer audio. I think you're going to have more success, but you're like, I just am not willing. I'm not going to say I can't, because all of you can, but if you say you're not willing, that's the key word. Just say I'm not willing right now. Fine. So be it. Start out with text. Don't confuse principles and techniques. The principle is reaching out to new people. The technique is audio or text. That's with all trainings. Don't confuse principles with techniques. I promise you, it's going to make a huge difference as you go and you do this and you make this happen. Now, the next thing we go as we're doing this is understand that you've got to legit figure out who you're going to reach out to. And I know make your list can be like super like old school, but again, successful people just do the basics better. If you're going to go recruit 5 and 5, right? Then what are you going to do? And Jennifer, you're not allowed to feel shameful, right? Guys, there's a difference between guilt, big guilt, and shame. So a little bit of guilt is good because it tells us the difference between right and wrong. It kicks us in the butt to do a little better. But when that's manipulated and turns to shame, it becomes so big, we feel so consumed by our guilt, it turns to shame that we don't take action. So look at it as the sun. The sun represents progress. When I'm walking towards the sun, I'm getting my vitamin D, I'm getting my tan on, I'm feeling great. Where's my shadow? Right behind me. Right? The second I turn away from the sun, what happens? My guilt consumes me. All of a sudden, it turns into, right? It turns into shame. It becomes so big, it's like I can't see the sunlight anymore. So understand, anytime you feel a little bit of guilt, just remember that simple analogy I gave you, because I still deal with it all the time, right? I deal with it all the time, and I just say, you know what? All I can do is all I can do. Do your best and F the rest. The F stands for forget, kids that are listening in. Do your best and F the rest. And that's all you can do. It says you're going to make it happen. Just remember that. Now, as we go back, what I want you to do is I want you to create your list. Now, as you create your list, this is where you become very deliberate. Because if you're going to recruit 5 and 5, you're not just going to show up one day and say, okay, who am I going to reach out to, right? You're just going to start wasting time, right? You're checking out your phone. You're like, who am I going to reach out to? And you waste all this time now. You got to be so deliberate and laser focused if you want to have this success. So as you create your list, you're going to be deliberate on who that list is. Again, it goes back to what I told you earlier. Are you talking to warm market or cold market? Are you talking to customers or business builders? Is there a specific type of business builders? Are you like, you know what, real estate agents? I'm talking anyone I know that's been in real estate at all. And maybe you start making your list as you go. Maybe it's going to be a social media one, right? Maybe it's going to be old friends as you go. But now what you do is you become super deliberate, and what you do is you create that exact list of who you're going to talk to. Now, if it's a warm market strategy, what I like to do is I like to think of people that I know together with a specific group of people. So I play tennis, right? So if I start thinking of tennis, I could list everybody I know from tennis. I could list, hundreds and hundreds of people throughout the years coaching tennis, right? Running a tennis club prior to network marketing, playing college tennis. I have all these different groups. So I would list as many as I could. And then I would do is I would go through the list and I would start thinking of like who knows who and who has the most impact and influence. And I would start out from the top of who's the most influential. Why? Because if that person decides to do it, and I can tell this person, right, like, look, I'm going to reach out to all these people. We can reach out together. If you decide to do this, these people will be part of your team. Now, I understand that there's different comp plans and different things for who takes sponsorship and placement. So again, don't confuse principles and techniques. Now, if it's a cold market, I know some of you guys are just lost. You're just like, what did he say? Rewind that. We're just working in impact and influence. What influences people more than anything else is what other people are doing and other people that they know. So if I'm doing a warm market strategy, I'm trying to think of people that know each other, and I'm creating these clusters in these groups. If it's a colder market, right, that strategy is not going to work at all. It's going to be a little bit different. You can look for mutual friends on social media and see if it's possible, of people that aren't in your business, but it's going to be a little different as you do it. And then what you're going to do is you're going to set aside the exact amount of time of what you're going to do, and you're going to do it. So if it's, think how many people could you reach out to, even if you only made 2 hours? A ton. And if you're going to reach out to new people during that time, right, what I would do is I would create different blocks of time where there's a complete focus. And so each person's different. I found most people can't laser focus more than 45 minutes. Some of you are different. Some of you are a lot less. Some of you are more. But 45 minutes I found to be pretty much the most. I've seen people all out crazy focused. And so if that's the case, let's say I'm going to reach out to brand new people, business builders. I'm going to go 30 minutes. And let's say I go 30 minutes all out reaching out to people. And nothing else. If that's what you're doing, you're not getting distracted by follow-up messages. I know that can be hard. So you may say, well, I want to do 20 minutes in case someone reaches back out to me. I want to reach out to them while they're hot, right? While they're excited. But you have to decide what you're going to do, because it's really easy where you get in this mindset of recruiting mindset to reach out to new people, and all of a sudden you start doing it, and then you stop, and then all of a sudden you follow up, and then there's a notification here and there, and there's an email that pops up in a text. No, what you decide and you commit you're going to do, that's what you do, and you do nothing else. Nothing else. That's what you're going to do. So start out and be deliberate and say, right, and Ashley, this will answer your question, and say, okay, I'm just going to give different examples right here. Say, okay, for 20 minutes, right, we're going to switch the time here so you guys understand that it's not as set exact. Everyone's different. 20 minutes, I'm reaching out to new people about my business. 20 minutes. Nothing else will I do. I won't check any other notification. I won't check any other text. I won't follow up with anyone else. That's the only thing I'm going to do. Then after that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go check for 5 minutes to see if there's anyone else to follow up with. And if there is, great. And if there isn't, I'm going to regather my thoughts, right? And refocus, because after those 5 minutes, I'm going to go back all out and I'm going to spend 15 minutes where that's all I do is reach out to brand new people again. And after those 15, I'm going to spend 5, maybe it's 10 this time, where or 5. You have to decide, you have to look what works best for you. But what I'm doing is I'm teaching you how to have laser focus. And if I look at those reach outs, and you're like, well, how do I track them? Well, everyone's a little different. This has been a common question. Some people like to use a Google spreadsheet, right? And they go on and spreadsheet, reach out to this person, this date, right? Some people like to just handwrite it, right? Maybe using my planner or journal, right? You use my planner, you just write in there, and they're doing that. Other people like to do them all in Messenger, and then they go back after and they track it. You got to figure out what works for you. It doesn't really matter what you do as long as you track it. Because there's a great quote that says, that which isn't measured cannot be improved. You got to measure it so you know exacts. And then after, when you're done with all of those reach outs and you've tracked those, what you can do is you can go put reminders in your phone. So for day 2, or even day 1 at night, let's say you did it in the morning, so you could do it at night, or if day 1 is in the night, because you couldn't work till night, then you could do it for day 2. Again, I'm teaching you principles. You put a reminder to go reach back out to all those people that ghosted you. Don't feel insecure. Maybe they were just busy. Maybe they aren't sure yet. It doesn't really matter. Don't think worst case scenario always. Think best case scenario. Maybe they are trying to ghost you, but guess what? That's okay. But think best case scenario. And so you're being deliberate with your time. Now, some of you get caught up, like, I get so overwhelmed with all these people now are in my messages and they want to reach back out and I don't have time. Great. You create your own time. Maybe you could only work from 9 to 10 and then you got to go back to your job from 10 to 12 and then you got a lunch break. And so you put in your calendar, at lunch you're going to spend 30 minutes responding back to people and following back with people as you go. Again, you create your own rules. That's one of the hardest parts of network marketing. Because prior to network marketing, most of you, right, you were told what to do by your parents, your bosses, your teachers, every single person. And now all of a sudden you can do what you want when you want. And so everything becomes tomorrow, tomorrow, tomorrow. Tomorrow isn't one of the 7 days a week. It is not one of the 7 days a week. And so you've got to figure out what works for you, right? If you feel like you get overwhelmed with certain systems, fine. You have to find something that works for you. Maybe it's hyper focus for less time. Maybe you can only do 15 minutes. Maybe it's 20 minutes. Maybe it's 30 minutes. Maybe it's once a week. Maybe it's every single day for a small period of time. Maybe you find your highest amount of energy is on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Everything is trial and error, trial and error, trial and error, trial and error as we go. Jen, to answer your question, are you reaching out to build the relationship or specifically offering opportunity product purchases? So for me, when I go for the recruit 5 and 5, I'm going specifically for the sponsor. But if you want to go to the pre setup, I think you already know this is why you're asking this question, Jen. I love it. Is what I'm doing is I am always reaching out to 10 people non-business related. That means 300 people a month, right? Over 3,000 people a year. Some of you are like, that's overwhelming. 10 people a day? Look, it could be their birthdays. It could be their anniversaries. It could be a brand new friend request someone sent you or you sent to them. It could be someone where you absolutely love their post. So rather than commenting on their post, the money's a messenger, and I sift the messenger and I leave an audio and I say, hey, I just saw you were in Croatia. Holly, Croatia is, and I did send this message to Holly. She's on the live. She can tell you. I said, Croatia is one of the most underrated places in all of Europe. I absolutely love it. I'm jealous. Right? Non-business related conversation. Doesn't take that long. It's not fake chit chat. It's just being a good freaking human being. I don't spend all day doing it. It doesn't take that long to shoot the 10. They shoot me messages back, right? I manage my time when I'm going to respond to them. And so I've just allocated the time. But again, each one of you is different for your capacity, your levels of overwhelm. Maybe you got other crap going on in life, right? Maybe you just have different things you're dealing with your head. That's okay. But again, if you really, really want this business, you have to figure out a way to be super deliberate as you're doing this. And so that's what I do. And as I'm doing this business, as I make this happen, it helps me to have more success when I'm super deliberate with my schedule. And I figure out where I'm overwhelmed, when I'm too responsive, when I'm not responsive enough, when I get people lost in the shuffle. And as I do this, it helps out. So for me, I've done this over the course of consistently, month after month. So whenever it's time for me to do a blitz, I've already warmed everything up. I already have the setup. Now, if you haven't done that, that's something you want to add to a daily method of operation of just non-business related reach outs, just be a good human being. I promise you make a huge difference. I'll probably leave a post in here right now for any questions anybody has, because there's so many questions already. I wasn't planning on going this long in the first training, but it was just, helped out a ton. I'll answer this last question. To clarify, reach out to 5 people a week, and then what about the 10? So to clarify, I would reach out to 10 people a day, non-business related. When we recruit 5 and 5, my personal preference, I would, if I'm being very, very specific for you, is you want to track your numbers the first time you do a blitz. And as you start tracking your numbers consistently, you can reverse engineer how many new people you need to reach out to in order to reach those 5. So let's say I start reaching out, for this month and next month, and I find that my ratio is 1 out of 10 people that I reach out to say yes. Well, if that's the case, then we know that over the course of 5 days, you got to reach out to 50 people in order to have 5. But as you start tracking it, maybe as I said at the beginning of the training, you find when you go on all out blitz, your energy level is higher as you compress time. And so maybe instead of your typical standard numbers, your ratios go up, and you find that only you need to reach out to 30 rather than 50. So you see what I'm saying? There is no set. If someone gives you a set formula, this is exactly how many people you reach out to. Everyone's so different. How are you going to know? Track your numbers and you know exactly what you need to do to make it happen. So hopefully you guys found value. If you guys want access to this training forever, like I told you guys earlier, you get lifetime access training. I'm going to hop on the group accountability right now. You get a week of group accountability coaching with me, how to recruit your dream team with John Melton. You get that training. You get Brian Fryer's training, how to get people off the fence without being pushy, opportunity posts that convert, to conversations with Morgan. So you guys are going to have some awesome trainings. If you haven't upgraded already, feel free to get it. But I'll do a question because we got so many questions. I love these. I'm so excited for all of you. And let's crush this. This was just the first of 5 total trainings. Let's make it happen. Hope you guys found some value.